The fluorescent lights hummed quietly in my small electronics repair shop as I carefully disassembled another broken iPhone. My brother Michael's words from last night's family dinner still rang in my ears. Still playing with broken phones, David, while I'm busy running a billion-dollar tech company? I wiped the sweat from my forehead and continued working. The tiny workshop at the back of my shop held more secrets than my entire family could imagine. Between fixing cracked screens and replacing batteries, I'd spent the last 5 years developing something revolutionary. Mr. Chen, Sarah, my only employee, poked her head through the door. Your brother's secretary is on the line. Something about attending a mandatory family event? I sighed, already knowing what this was about. Michael's company, Next Tech Solutions, had just hit $2 billion in valuation, and he was throwing a lavish party to celebrate. Our parents would be there, along with Silicon Valley's elite. Of course, he wanted his failure of a brother to attend. I was his favorite cautionary tale. Tell her I'll be there, I replied, turning back to my work. Under the bright desk lamp, I made the final adjustments to my prototype. 5 years of research, countless sleepless nights, and my entire life savings had led to this moment. The quantum processing chip I developed in this humble workshop could revolutionize mobile computing forever. But my family didn't know that. To them, I was just the disappointment. The MIT dropout who wasted his potential running a repair shop while Michael built his empire with his Stanford MBA and wealthy connections. The party was exactly as pretentious as I expected. Michael's new corporate headquarters occupied the top 3 floors of a gleaming downtown skyscraper. Men in designer suits and women dripping in jewelry filled the space, all laughing at my brother's jokes as if he were a comedy genius. David, my mother's voice carried across the room. There you are. Couldn't you have dressed more appropriately? She eyed my simple black shirt and slacks with disappointment. I came straight from work, Mom. Ah yes, the shop. She said, shop the way most people might say garbage dump. You know Michael's company is always hiring, even in entry-level positions. Mom, please. David. Michael's booming voice interrupted us. My brother approached, champagne in hand, surrounded by his usual entourage of yes men. So glad you could leave your little phone hospital to join us. The group around him chuckled. Michael had always known how to work a crowd, how to make himself look better by putting others down. Some things never changed since high school. Ladies and gentlemen, Michael raised his glass, his voice carrying across the room. I'd like to make a toast. 10 years ago, I had a vision to create the most innovative tech company in the world. While others doubted, while others chose easier paths, he looked pointedly at me. I persevered. The crowd murmured appreciatively. I saw our father beaming with pride. Speaking of easier paths, Michael continued, his smile turning cruel. My brother David here repairs phones for a living. Can you imagine? An MIT-educated Chen fixing cracked screens in a tiny shop while his brother builds an empire. The laughter that followed made my chest tight. I guess not everyone has what it takes to succeed in the real tech world. I could have left then. Part of me wanted to, but I stayed, remembering what was waiting in my workshop. Let them laugh. They had no idea what was coming. Actually, Michael, I spoke up, my voice steady. How's your quantum computing division doing? I heard your last 3 attempts at developing a mobile quantum processor failed spectacularly. Michael's smile faltered slightly. It was his company's biggest weakness. They'd spent hundreds of millions trying to crack quantum mobile computing with nothing to show for it. We're making excellent progress, he recovered quickly. Unlike some people who waste time with trivial repairs, we're pushing the boundaries of technology. If he only knew. In my pocket, I carried a thumb drive with the complete patents for my quantum processor. Tomorrow, I had meetings scheduled with representatives from Apple, Google, and Samsung. The bidding would start at $5 billion. But tonight, I just smiled and let them laugh. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about proving others wrong immediately. It's about waiting for the perfect moment to show them just how wrong they've been all along. As I drove home that night, my phone buzzed with a message from Sarah. The prototype test results are in. It works perfectly. All parameters exceeded expectations. I smiled, thinking about tomorrow's meetings. Michael had no idea that while he was building his empire on conventional technology, his failure of a brother had cracked the holy grail of quantum computing in a tiny workshop. The best part? I'd done it without wealthy investors, without a fancy MBA, and without stepping on others to get ahead. I built something revolutionary with nothing but determination, intelligence, and the very skills my family mocked me for. Understanding technology from the ground up, fixing things others thought were broken. Tomorrow would change everything. But tonight, I have phones to fix. Because unlike my brother, I'd never forgotten the value of honest work, no matter how small others might think it is. The morning of my meetings dawned bright and clear. I arrived at my shop early, just like any other day. A line of customers had already formed, people with broken phones, tablets, and laptops who trusted me to fix their precious devices. I couldn't help but smile at the irony. Today, these same devices would run on my quantum processor technology, making them thousands of times faster and more efficient. "You seem cheerful," Sarah remarked, organizing the day's repair tickets. She was the only person who knew everything. My former MIT classmate who'd believed in my vision enough to work at a small repair shop while we developed the technology. "Big day," I replied simply, heading to the workshop. The prototype was secured in a custom-built case, along with backup drives containing all the technical documentation. 5 years of work, ready to change the world. My phone buzzed. A message from Michael. "Hope you're not too hurt by last night. Truth hurts, little brother. But someone had to say it. Maybe now you'll finally grow up and get a real job." I left it unanswered. Let him gloat a little longer. The first meeting was with Apple at 10 a.m., held in a prestigious downtown law firm's conference room. I walked in wearing the same simple clothes I always did, no power suits needed when you hold the future of computing in your hands. "Mr. Chen," the Apple executive began, slightly confused by my appearance, "we've reviewed your initial documentation. Frankly, it seems too good to be true. You're claiming to have developed what our entire R&D department, with billions in funding, couldn't achieve." I placed the prototype on the table. "Would you like a demonstration?" What followed was 3 hours of intense testing and validation. By the end, the room had filled with more executives, all watching in amazement as my quantum processor performed calculations that would take traditional computers years to complete. "This is revolutionary," the chief engineer whispered, reviewing the test results. "The implications for AI, encryption, mobile computing. This changes everything." The Google representatives arrived at 2 p.m., followed by Samsung at 4 p.m. Each meeting followed the same pattern. Initial skepticism, followed by stunned silence, ending with barely contained excitement. By 6 p.m., my phone was exploding with messages. Initial offers had started coming in. Apple, $6 billion. Google, $7 billion. Samsung, $6.5 billion. I was packing up when Sarah called. "David, you need to see this. Your brother's here." I rushed back to the shop. Michael stood in the middle of the store, face red with anger, waving his phone. "What the hell is this?" he demanded, showing me an email from one of his board members. "Why are Apple and Google representatives telling everyone they've found the next big thing in quantum computing? From a repair shop owner?" The customers in the store watched with interest as the famous CEO confronted the humble repair shop owner. If they only knew. "Hello, Michael," I said calmly. "Busy day?" "Cut the crap, David. What did you do? What did you show them? Would you like a demonstration, brother?" I led him to my workshop, enjoying the way his eyes widened at the sophisticated equipment hidden behind the simple repair bench. "What is all this?" I pulled out the prototype. "This, dear brother, is what you and your company have been trying to build for years. A functional quantum processor small enough to fit in a mobile phone, powerful enough to revolutionize computing as we know it. That's impossible." "You're lying." But I could see the fear in his eyes as I powered up the device. "You're just a repair guy." "No, Michael. I'm an engineer who chose to understand technology from the ground up while you were busy playing CEO. Every broken phone, every failed device taught me something. While you were hosting parties and making speeches, I was solving the quantum coherence problems your teams couldn't crack." The color drained from his face as I demonstrated the processor's capabilities. "The bidding starts at $5 billion, I added casually. "Your company's entire market value, though I hear the offers have already gone higher." "You can't do this to me," he whispered. "To the family. Nextech's entire future depends on quantum computing. Without it, we're just another tech company with outdated products." I'm not doing anything to you, Michael. I'm just showing the world what a failure of a brother can achieve. His phone buzzed continuously, board members, investors, all wanting to know how they'd missed this, how they'd let a revolutionary technology develop right under their noses in a small repair shop. We can work something out, Michael said, his arrogance replaced by desperation. A partnership. Next Tech can acquire your technology. We're family after all. I thought about all the family dinners where he'd mocked me, all the times he belittled my work, all the years our parents had compared us. Family? I laughed softly. Last night you called me pathetic in front of hundreds of people. You've spent years telling everyone who would listen that I'm a failure. Why would I partner with someone who never believed in me? But what am I supposed to do? Our stock will tank when this news gets out. I suggest you start learning how to fix things, Michael, because your company is about to need some serious repairs. He left my shop a broken man, his perfect world crumbling around him. As the door closed behind him, Sarah emerged from the back room. That was intense, she said. Are you okay? I looked around my shop, at the devices waiting to be fixed, at the workshop where I'd built something revolutionary, at the simple life that had given me everything I needed to succeed. Never better, I replied, picking up a broken iPhone. Now let's get back to work. These phones won't fix themselves. But my phone kept buzzing with increasing offers from tech giants, and I knew that tomorrow, the world would learn that sometimes the biggest innovations come from the smallest places, and that success isn't about fancy offices and expensive suits. It's about passion, dedication, and the willingness to build something great, one repair at a time. The next morning, my small shop became the center of a media storm. Unknown repair shop owner revolutionizes computing, screamed the headlines. Business reporters crowded outside, trying to get a glimpse of the genius inventor who'd outsmarted Silicon Valley's biggest players. I kept the shop open despite Sarah's protests. David, there are reporters everywhere, she argued. Plus, we've had calls from every major news network. Shouldn't we focus on that? Mrs. Parker's daughter's birthday photos are on this broken tablet, I replied, carefully working on the damaged device. That's just as important to her as quantum computing is to Apple. The bell above the door chimed. I looked up, expecting another reporter, but instead found my parents standing there. Mom's eyes were red from crying, and Dad looked like he aged 10 years overnight. David, Mom started, wringing her hands. Why didn't you tell us? All these years. Would you have believed me? I asked quietly, continuing my repair work. Every time I tried to explain my research, you changed the subject to Michael's latest achievement. We thought we were helping, Dad said, his voice uncharacteristically uncertain. Pushing you to be more like your brother. More successful, you mean? I couldn't keep the bitterness from my voice, because running a repair shop wasn't successful enough. Before they could respond, my phone buzzed. A message from one of Apple's executives. They were raising their offer to $10 billion, with a guarantee that I would retain control of the technology's development. $10 billion, Mom whispered, reading over my shoulder. Our David, a billionaire. I was worth just as much yesterday, I said, when you thought I was just fixing phones. The door chimed again. This time it was Michael, looking disheveled and desperate. Next Tech stock has dropped 60% since the market opened, he announced without preamble. Our investors are pulling out. The board is calling for my resignation. Michael, not now, Mom pleaded, but he ignored her. The technology blogs are having a field day, he continued. Next Tech CEO's brother solves quantum computing in repair shop. Do you have any idea what this is doing to my reputation? I carefully closed up the tablet I'd been repairing, making sure every screw was perfectly in place. Your reputation, I repeated slowly. Last night, you humiliated me in front of hundreds of people. Last week, you told our cousins' kids not to be like Uncle David unless they wanted to be losers. Last month, you forgot to invite me to Dad's birthday party because you were embarrassed by my job. I was wrong, okay? Michael exploded. Is that what you want to hear? I was wrong, and you were right. You're the genius, and I'm the fraud. Happy now? No, Michael, I'm not happy. Because you're only saying this now that you know I'm worth billions. If I failed, if my research hadn't paid off, you'd still be mocking me at parties. Sarah appeared with a stack of papers. David, The patent lawyers are here. And Google just raised their offer to 11 billion. Michael's face turned ashen. 11 billion? David, please, think about the family. Think about Nextech. We could work together, merge our companies. Sir, Sarah interrupted. There's a line of customers waiting, and Mrs. Parker needs her tablet back by noon for her daughter's birthday. I looked at my family, Mom crying silently, Dad looking lost, Michael practically begging. Then at the line of regular people waiting for their devices to be fixed. People who trusted me with their precious photos, their important documents, their daily communications. Sarah's right, I said, standing up. We have work to do. Real work, helping real people. Mom, Dad, I'll call you later. Michael, I suggest you focus on saving what's left of your company instead of trying to take over mine. But what about the reporters? The offers? The interviews? Mom stuttered. I picked up the next broken phone from the repair crew. They can wait. This gentleman needs his phone fixed so he can call his daughter overseas tonight. That matters more than any interview. You're choosing to fix phones over dealing with billion-dollar offers? Michael asked incredulously. No, I'm choosing to remember who I am and what matters. The quantum processor didn't come from endless board meetings and PowerPoint presentations. It came from understanding how things work, from fixing what's broken, from caring about the small details everyone else ignores. I turned to Sarah. Tell the patent lawyers I'll meet them after closing time. And let Mrs. Parker know her tablet will be ready in 20 minutes. As my family left the shop, I could hear the reporters outside buzzing with questions. But inside it was peaceful, just the familiar smell of electronics, the precise tools laid out on my workbench, and the satisfaction of fixing things that others had given up on. My phone buzzed again. Now Samsung had raised their offer to 12 billion. But I kept working on the broken phone in front of me, smiling as I remembered something my first electronics teacher had told me. Success isn't about how much money you make, it's about staying true to what you love, no matter what anyone else thinks. The quantum processor would change the world, yes. But here, in my small repair shop, I was already changing worlds, one fixed device at a time. 1 month later, my life had transformed in ways I never imagined. The deal with Apple had closed at $15 billion, making headlines worldwide. Repair shop revolution. How one man's vision changed computing forever. But what happened next surprised everyone, especially my family. I kept the shop open. I don't understand, Michael said during one of his increasingly frequent visits. He'd been forced to step down as CEO of Nextech, the company's value plummeting without its quantum computing prospects. You're worth billions now. Why are you still here fixing phones? I was working on a particularly challenging repair, an old laptop containing a grandmother's only photos of her late husband. Because this matters, I replied, carefully extracting the damaged hard drive. Every device here tells a story, holds someone's memories, connects people to the ones they love. The quantum processor development was proceeding at Apple's research facilities, with me overseeing the project. But I'd made an unusual demand in the contract negotiations. I wanted to keep my repair shop running with enough time to work there regularly. The most brilliant mind in quantum computing, the Apple CEO had said, and all he wants is to keep fixing phones. But I knew something they didn't, something my brother, with all his business degrees, had never understood. True innovation doesn't come from boardrooms and PowerPoint presentations. It comes from understanding how things work at their most basic level, from caring enough to fix what's broken. David, Sarah called from the front, your parents are here again. They've been coming by more often lately, watching me work with a mixture of pride and confusion. Today, Mom carried a small box. We've been cleaning out the attic, she said, placing it on my workbench. We found these. Inside were my childhood projects, broken radios I'd repaired, circuit boards I'd built, notebooks filled with designs and ideas, things they'd once dismissed as pointless tinkering. You used to spend hours up there, Dad said softly, fixing things we thought were worthless. We should have seen it then. The genius wasn't in following Michael's path. It was in being true to yourself. The bell chimed again. A young girl entered, clutching a broken tablet. Can you fix it? She asked timidly. My science fair project is on it, and the competition is tomorrow. Of course, I smiled, gesturing her forward. Let's take a look. As I examined the tablet, I noticed my family watching. For the first time, they seemed to really see what I was doing, not just fixing a device, but helping someone, solving a problem, making a difference. You know, Michael said suddenly, I never actually knew how any of our products worked. I just knew how to sell them. That was always the difference between us, I replied, carefully opening the tablet. You saw technology as a way to make money. I saw it as a way to help people. Working on the tablet, I explained each step to the young girl, just as I'd always done with customers. Her eyes lit up with understanding. You're him, aren't you? She asked excitedly. The quantum computer guy from the news. My teacher showed us the articles. Yes, but right now I'm just the repair guy trying to save your science project. Both are equally important, Sarah added, making the girl smile. Later that evening, after fixing the tablet and watching the girl leave clutching it joyfully, I made an announcement to my family. I'm starting a foundation, I said. The Chen Innovation Fund. We'll be opening repair shops like this one all over the country, teaching young people how to fix and understand technology. Each shop will also be a research lab, encouraging innovation from the ground up. But that's not how tech companies work, Michael protested weakly. Maybe that's why they keep missing the real innovations, I replied. Because they've forgotten that every great invention starts with understanding the basics, with being willing to fix what's broken. Mom was crying again, but differently this time. You're going to help other children like you, she whispered. The ones who think differently. The ones who might change the world. I nodded, if someone just gives them the chance I gave myself. 6 months later, the first Chen Innovation Centers opened. They looked like simple repair shops from the outside, but inside they were incubators for the next generation of inventors and problem solvers. Michael, humbled by his fall and inspired by what he'd seen, asked to help manage the educational programs. I think I finally understand, he said one day, watching a young girl take apart a phone with the same intensity I once had. Success isn't about the money or the status. It's about making a difference, no matter how small it seems. The quantum processor eventually revolutionized computing, yes. But my real legacy became something else. Hundreds of repair shops turned innovation centers, thousands of young minds encouraged to think differently, to fix things, to solve problems. And me? I still spend most days at my original shop, fixing devices and teaching others to do the same. The quantum processor made me a billionaire, but this simple repair shop made me who I am. It taught me that sometimes the biggest breakthroughs come from the smallest places and that true success isn't about proving others wrong. It's about staying true to what's right. Mr. Chen, another customer enters with a broken device. Can you help fix this? I smile, reaching for my tools. Of course. Let's see what we can do. Because in the end, that's what it's all about, fixing what's broken, helping where you can, and building something better, one small repair at a time.